All right. Just when you think you have everything set up correctly, it turns out, no you don't. Hello everybody, welcome to stint number 1, including qualifying of the Bolex 6 hours of Daytona. I will be your commentator for the first stint, DJ Rohawk. It is quite early here on the East Coast of the US, and I was so busy yesterday, I did not get everything quite set up the way that I wanted. So that's great. We love it. We love to see it here in early morning hours. However, the normal setup does work, so at the very least, that works. So, may not be able to show you exactly what I want, but in any case, the stream will go on and you will get commentary for the actual race itself. So what we have here today, if you haven't been around the IRO Discord or what have you, 6-hour endurance race featuring 14 teams of 3. And my driver is still not in the lobby, and you can imagine how... Oh, I just had to summon him. Ah, see, we have superpowers around here. Ost, good morning. Good morning to everyone. Afternoon for some of you at this point. Let me see if I can show the graphics with the microphone. One moment. This is, we have 5 minutes until qualifying, so you have the 5-minute warning. Let me see if I can get these graphics out with the microphone on. There we go. All right, cool. So we have on the screen the 14 teams. We have AHR team number 2. I will not say that on the air. McLaren 650S in car 404. We have ART number 2 in the Mustang, car number 222. Race Asylum team number 2 in the Lexus, car 777. Purple lap 2 sector 1 in the GTR, car 420. Team AHR number 1 in the McLaren in appropriately numbered car number 1. CLR Full Send number 2 in the Mustang in car 22. Race Asylum's team number 1 in the McLaren and team in car number 44. Naval Racing Team, or NRT, in the 4C, car 25. Black Flag Racing Team number 1 in the Porsche, car 296. DC Team number 1 in the Ford GT, car 29. Overboost Racing Team in the Lexus, car 20. Loose Moose Racing in the Corvette, in car 531. KTS Racing in the Viper, car 96. And CLR Full Send in the Mustang, in car 11. So there's that. Let me wind up the old track map so you get an idea of what the track looks like. Here we go. This is a map of Daytona here. Turn 1, very tricky. Definitely a tough one to get right, especially as the wind continues to blow and change directions. Clarky, good to see you. Hello. Jay, Hansa, some names I recognize. Welcome everyone, welcome to the stream. In for an exciting day of racing. Not only am I commentating Stint 1, but I am driving Stint 3, so I have a full day today. I'm going to be quite tired by the end of this. So this is the track. You know, this is the Daytona Tri-Oval with the infield, if you will. Generally what it's called. Pretty straightforward track. It's not overly complicated, though there are parts of this track that can be a little tricky. Turn 1 is especially tricky. You're hard on the brakes for a really long time, and it's kind of a sweeping left-hander, and to get it right, you really have to risk death with the tire barrier on the inside. You can lose so much time in turn 1, even if you feel like you're not losing any time at all. And then another tricky part of the track is, of course, the bus stop. Carrying a lot of speed through the bus stop is very difficult when you think about track limits, things like that. This will be a good one. 66 laps total, I believe, by the time all things are handled. Now, back to the exciting action of the lobby screen. It's just me on the call today. Baz, welcome. Just me on the call today, so my guy Wayne that has been accompanying me the last few broadcasts is actually driving Stint 2 for AHR, so AHR team number 1, so he, myself, and Bob's your uncle will be manning car number 1. Although I guess you wouldn't know by looking at the car on my screen, but in any case. James, welcome. I can't promise I will have lots to say on the air at all times, but in any case, we will make it work together, my friends. I will do my best not to share tire and fuel info. I feel like that's appropriate. The banner that Urban Pirate made might cover that, but I'm gonna try to. I don't know if I'll show it or not. We might mess with it a little bit here in the pre-race extravaganza. I believe I have nicknames on, so if I get names wrong, just yell at me in the chat. It's a long stint. At least I have Strook's name right now. I at least have that right now. Let's see how this looks. Let's pull this up. I think the graphic, yeah, that does cover it, except for the little red dot. So I'll leave that on for my sake. Wayne, welcome. Welcome, my friend. All right, it's time. Quali is starting for the race. I'm excited, friends. I'm excited. I'm excited to be a part of this. It does cover it so you can see it, but viewers can't. Excellent. I appreciate that. I appreciate that for a number of reasons. Number 1, so that I can see it. Number 2, so that we're not giving away tire strategies on live on stream. Isn't that the same guy from last night and afternoon, Wayne? All right, folks. Here we go. The only tuning allowed in this was brake balance, or is brake balance. So the cars themselves pretty much stock, if you will, to Bop. Who is El Delamere? I have no idea. No idea. It's the Stig. I don't know. It's mystery driver. At least my controller's turned on this time, so I can see who is out first. Ah, it is Strook in the Mustang. So Strook will be giving us a onboard lap. There is Ost. Wait, was Ost supposed to be in the race? Uh-oh. We only have 13 cars out there. Already some drama. Fortunately not featuring my driver, who decided to wait until about 5 minutes to go before he decided to make his presence known. There were some choice words that were about to be had in the garage of AHR number 1. If I had to somehow drive. Disconnection. Oh no. All right, coming out of the bus stop. Here's your onboard lap with our good pal Strook. We miss Blue. Oh no. Sorry to hear that. Hello, Nick. Welcome, my friend. Through the tri-oval. Some cars can get up to 170 or so, depending on the wind. This wind is not great. It's not terrible, but it's not great. Here we go, hard on the brakes in turn 1. He manages to hold it, but that might be a little too wide. Mustang, a little bit of a squirrely car. Can he start at the back? Yeah, so that's good. I actually appreciate that. The wind makes this so difficult. This is actually a stronger wind than anything I practiced over the last few days. So that's a little concerning for me coming up later. Gonna have to brake real early into this right-hander here. This one's so easy to get wrong because it's another kind of J corner. Yep, look at how wide he went. So tough to get that right with the wind blowing at your back like that. Jack, good to see you, my friend. Brakes really late into here, that's good. The earlier you can turn in for this one, the more speed you can carry onto the tri-oval. I think a sub 53 is still a solid time, though. Blue got disconnected. Yeah, looks like it. Jack, if you could get your mind out of the gutter for more than 2 seconds, that would be great. braking at the line over the bus stop. Street brakes a little later than that. See if you can carry speed through here. Ideally, you want to be at 110, hitting the last curb. Looked like a pretty solid bus stop, and I'm sure nerves are flying everywhere. 124.0, you want to be sub 124 there, I think, for a decent lap. But, I mean, a 124.0 is solid, especially for your first lap. I believe this is a 15-minute qualifier, so you'll get 7 or 8 laps out of this. .46.0, first lap for Struck. With this wind, that's really not bad at all. Takes some getting used to. Some people handle it better than others. Oh, Delamere's Evo. Evo is racing AHR yesterday in the little team versus team exhibition they had. A lot of 46s coming in. 45.9 for Slipstream. I saw a 45.4. Let's go around the grid, or around the horn, if you will. Check out these liveries. Struck with Team CLR. I like this livery is very clean, very classic. There's not too much going on, but it still looks like a race car. Very nicely done. Behind them we have Team ORT. I just love the way the Lexus looks. Like, this is another livery that this is just a very, like, I think the 3 colors are what really make it pop out. I think it would be good even if it was just 2 colors, but the third, the light green here, really make it look nice. Next we have the 4C from Team NRT. I'm a big fan of the way the 4C looks because I like small little 2-door cars. It's another classic livery. The livery creators that did these are just all class, as my UK friends like to say. Next we have the Corvette here. This reminds me of, like, maybe not necessarily Heineken, but it reminds me of something akin to that. I like the moose head. Getting some time improvements. Evo with a 45.1. Whew, good grief. 45.5. 46.4, 45.5. The times are starting to come down. People are starting to warm up to this wind. 45.1 is fast. 45.7 for Spoon. Jakey with a 46.3. A lot of folks are bunched up at the Tri-Oval. Bob with a 46.3. A lot of folks are bunched up at the infield. Not great for qualifying, especially if you feel like you're a little bit faster in certain sectors. We have another CLR car, this one driven by Speedy. Same livery, just a different number. We have the Race Asylum 650 driven by Evo. Fantastic looking car as well. Evo a little bit laggy. Although if he keeps driving like this, lag may not matter. Because, ooh, that might be a penalty, though. He is flying. Good grief. Yep, there's the penalty. It was 3/10 purple on a 45.1. That is pretty remarkable, if I do say so myself. Next, we have the ART Mustang with Bonneville. Very cool looking car. I like their colors. I like their team colors, the blue and like the yellow, or the maybe like a neon green type thing they've got going on here. Very cool. I like the Union Jack, I believe it's called, on the tail there. 45.4 for Bonneville, 45.6 for Team NRT. I missed the last one. I think it was a 45.7 by somebody. We have Dan from AHR2 coming into the pits. This is AHR2's livery. We went with 2 slightly different liveries for our cars. Basically the same thing, but inverted. So Dan is in the base white one, I believe. Yes, he's in the base white one. Made by our lovely, talented livery creator, Fun Police. have Team Black Flag Racing in the 911. Orange is my favorite color, so you can imagine I really do like this livery. I love black cars. My car that I own in real life is black. Also, Valsalenta, it's 19 feet per second. It's not meters per second. So that, yeah, that, being American, my measurements are all wrong. So you have this really nice livery here. Now we have the Viper. Viper is from Team GTSV. Spoon was actually kind enough to send me some insider information about their team before the race started. It is an all-Belgian team, but they felt like since they were driving an American car, they wanted to have an American-style livery, and it looks fantastic. Stars and stripes, if you will. Nice nod to the American flag there, and of course, an all-American car. Now we have the Ford GT from Team DCT. Kind of another nod to not only an American car, but kind of the original livery for this thing. The original livery had a lot of red, white, and blue on it, I think. So does this. I'm not sure if that's their normal team colors, but in any case, it is a nice compilation of colors that kind of is a nod to the American colors and the original car livery. Hello, Yupe, welcome. If it was 18 meters per second, cars would be getting blown off the track. I would be very concerned. Here's AHR's other livery. This is technically team number 1 with the kind of base black. The car has a lot of white on it, but it has more black on it than the original one, and the stripe down the hood is black instead of white on the other one. Another just fantastic livery from Fun Police. Now we have the GTR. Look at this livery with the big skull on it. Oh, I love it. I believe this is purple lap 2 sector 1. 45.7 for Strook. We have about 4 minutes to go in qualifying. The drivers seem to be bunched up. Yeah, Jack, it sure looks like that. If it were me, I think I would bail out and just get way away. I'm someone that, even though Slipstream can help, I'm someone that just does so much better by myself. I need it, you know. This livery's cool. This is classy. End station, welcome. Welcome to Stint 1, my friend. We are making it work. So here we go. Jakey looked like he was on for a much better lap. Let's see. 45.4, all the way up to P3 in the GTR. Jakey, of course, an extremely talented driver. He could pilot this GTR around here much faster than I can. I could not get this to do much of anything. So we have maybe a couple laps left. Yep, Ray, finally a good lap for Jakey. I think he had to bail out of a couple laps. The slipstream was only illegal for the pre-quali. I didn't see anybody saying no slipstream for the actual qualifier. I will say, as someone who has very little experience doing these double file close rolling starts, starting from the back, not necessarily a terrible thing either. Stroop with a lap improvement to 45.4. Him and that GTR have an unnatural relationship. Evo with a 44.8 in qualifying. Zero fight with a lap improvement, 46.1, 45.1 for Bonneville. See if my guy, Uncle Bob, can improve his lap time. Here with maybe 2 laps to go. No improvement for Uncle Bob yet. At least not that I've seen anyway. Pabst with the lap improvement to a 45.8. 44.8 in quality is crazy. That is fast. Yes, Hansa, Os can watch the drama unfold in front of him. So much talent in this race, too. I mean, Jakey is really fast. The only car I can do that with is the Swift. I can't do that with anything else. So if Jakey could just give Bob a little bump here, that would be great. I as a unbiased commentator think that it would be great if 2 cars worked together here for an even faster qualifying lap. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Jakey's just going to bail out of the lap. Although, to be fair, his lap is quite good, and it's almost over. See if he bailed out again. See if he can get one more lap in with the GTR. It's going to be very close. I don't know if he'll be able to do it, or maybe that's why he bailed out, because he didn't think he would be able to do it. We have a number of cars coming to the line. Improvements by Zero Fight and Dan. Dan up to a 45.5. Oh, right at the line here. This Lexus from Team ORT just did not get another lap in. So here we've got cars coming to the line. Bob improves a little bit, 46.3. Let's see, will this be our last lap? This was a bailout lap. It will be Struck, bringing us to the line at worst. I believe it will be Struck. Let's see, is there another one that made it through? Both CLR cars get one more lap from the looks of it. Let's see who this car is. This car... Okay, and Evo. But Evo is P1. Don't think anybody's touching that time. That is for sure. So, coming to the line, will Struck have a lap improvement? Yes, 45.191. Still P3 though, but still an improvement nonetheless. Now Speedy coming to the line. Will Speedy have an improvement? 45.8. Looks like no, they won't. And finally, oh, we had one more. Bonneville was still going. Another 44.8 for Evo. Bonneville with a 44.9. Whew. And the Mustang, incredible. And there's a penalty for Zero Fight, so this lap looks like there was a bailout anyway. The wind didn't really change, and so that certainly helps. Albuquerque, hello. Ken, welcome. All right, here's the grid, folks. Couple of 44s in qualifying. Every tire is required, but there is not a lap requirement on the tires. Of course, you do have to do one racing lap. So for those of you in later stints, the one out lap into the pits to wait on your teammate does not count. So we have Evo P1, Team ART P2, Struck in one of the CLR cars in P3, Jakey P4, Ray canceled the race, presumably because we got to get Austin here. Baz, what did you miss while cooking your Italian lunch? That sounds nice, actually. Well, Evo put down a monster time. Bonneville put down a monster time in the Mustang. I liked the Mustang, but it was a little sketchy. Good race for all. Welcome. I'm not sure if it's y'all's or Jaws. If I pronounce it wrong, I'm sorry. Feel free to correct me. Let's go Overboost. Team ORT. Ost had to join late, so he will be starting in the back. On the back row with my guy, Bob's your uncle. Also, good luck to all drivers. Good luck to all drivers. I may have to yell at my teammate to tick into the race. Well, I yelled at him once. He's away. He went to, where's chat? Let's see. Gone Bog. That must be an English thing. Not heard that one before. That must be an English thing. Oh, Jack. Jack is today's chat heathen. He will be given an award once the stream is over. Alright, Bob's checked in. I don't have to yell at him again. So, the way this works, my understanding, lap number 1 isn't actually a racing lap. It is a lap where people kind of cruise around the track, and then they, as they're coming onto the front stretch, bunch up in a 2x2 rolling start, 50-mile-an-hour speed limit, at least for the leaders. And then right in the little area where the start-finish line is, like where it starts to curve onto that, is roughly where the start zone starts. Formation lap. Thank you, Baz. I'm still asleep over here. I may sound okay, but brain is still very much like, hey, shouldn't be up now. Oh, Ray is probably getting the order right. $80 miles an hour till double file point, then 50 in double file. I hope Bob knows the 80-mile-an-hour part, because I don't. Although, to be fair, if I wasn't supposed to pass somebody, if I was supposed to start behind folks, I probably just wouldn't pass them, and if they know it, then I'd probably be okay. Left my brain on the pillow, yeah. I'm not an early morning person, and normally I get up at like 9:45, and so when you have to get up several hours before that, especially as someone that tends to stay up late, it doesn't work out very well. Is it dark for everyone? No, one says not here and one says should be. That's always comforting, right? Gran Turismo lobbies. Fortunately, this track is really lit up, so even if it was just like we had the time glitch, it won't be too bad. Hello, Pastina Calda. If I pronounced that wrong, please correct me. Welcome. Member of Team DCT. I believe they are in the Ford GT. "9:45 would be a holiday wake up for me, but my body tells me it is 7. Time to wake up even on weekends. It is an age thing." Baz, you know, I understand. I wake up that late because I can. Because my first work meeting is at 10 and I work remotely, so it's like, you know, I don't really have a reason to get up before then. But I wake up in the middle of the night every night at various times, and so my body just revolts with the idea of sleep these days, but anyway. Almost ready to start here, I believe. Oh, goodness. The first lap hasn't even started, and we're having age debates in the chat. One thing I found interesting is that in the world of sim racing, I am actually a youngster. Usually in like my friend groups and things like that, I'm usually one of the oldest. But for whatever reason, I get into sim racing and I'm one of the youngsters. All right. I don't think the race has started. I think everybody's hanging out in the pits. Oh, Ray's giving instructions. I appreciate that. Fair play to Ray. Rhyme not entirely unintentional there. For giving an explanation. For doofuses like me that only read half of the rulebook. Depends how you define youngster. I just turned 35 this week. I know some folks that do sim racing that are in their 60s. Which is awesome. It's like a lifelong thing you can do forever. Very cool. 50 miles an hour double file. Pole on left. I feel like those are pretty clear instructions. What do y'all think? We have some old timers in RA, believe it or not, quite fast too. Just to show the youngsters that us oldies are just as fast with a Zimmer frame. I'm still a baby compared to Baz and you. Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. SS, hello, welcome. I want to say Damo, who frequents a lot of streamer chats, is in his 60s. That sounds right. I could be completely wrong, but he's another one who's quite talented himself. Let's go. I know, Nick, I'm ready. Let's rock. Hopefully I didn't tick in accidentally, because that'd be awkward. James, good morning, my friend. End of lap 67 is the driver swap. Driver swap, of course, meaning that your driver pulls into the pits on lap 67, and as soon as they are completely stopped in the box, that is when stint number 2 goes. James filling in for Tank Bro, as if that team needed to get any faster, by the way. Here we go for the formation lap. Slowest grid start you'll ever see in your life, by the way. Now, I'm not going to say exactly what everyone's doing here, but if it were me, what I would be doing here is fuel mix 6 and as high a gear as possible. Because the more fuel you save now, the less time you have to be in the pits whenever you pit for fuel. I have to remember also not to tell the world what tires everyone's on, because that's technically giving away company secrets. Because I was almost like, oh, blah blah tires. Don't put the commentary. Look, the three of you are so good. There is no amount of commentary curse I can put on you. Please don't Jaeger anybody. I will say, Hansa, this is a DJ Brohawk stream, and the unexpected always happens in a DJ Brohawk stream. So, the commentator's curse was already put in place when I was when I volunteered to be the Stint 1 streamer. This is where I wish I had like a free camera that I could just stick on the start-finish line. You could have like a true NASCAR type start where all the cars go by. But this is no iRacing. There are the keyboard commands, which I actually forgot about. I wonder if I can plug that in and not explode the stream. Well, I will wait to do that because we are getting ready to start, and by the time I get back, the race will have started. There's no such thing as commentator's curse. It's just our skill knowing stuff is about to go down. Yeah, that's right. All right, should be getting into double file any moment here. Theoretically, we should be getting into double file. There's only a handful of cars that are in the double file. This is not a great camera angle for the start. If Mr. Turismo could please give us a better camera angle. All right, most of us are in double file-ish, and we're off. Lap 1, turn 1, here we go. Kind of a messy start in terms of the double file, but it looks like we are all the way. Evo, of course, makes it through turn 1. Looks like most everybody made it through turn 1 in one piece. All right, let's go to the front and see what's happening up front here. It'll be an interesting, we'll see what's happening with strategy here. It'll be a very interesting first few laps. Struck managed to take P2 away from Bonneville there in lap 1. Once the race gets strung out a little bit, I will go get the keyboard, see what I can do with it. Totally forgot about it. All right, first trip onto the tri-oval. The McLaren is not the strongest car in a straight line. It's good, but it's not the best. Mustang, I believe, is a little bit stronger in a straight line, plus the toe. We will see what happens here. Yes, Nick, boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys. I can't do it like Darrell Waltrip can do it, though. That would have been appropriate for this, wouldn't it? Milton, welcome. Go ORT Portugal. First time through the bus stop. Pretty cool camera angle there. Look like those two made through clean. Now on to the end of the tri-oval. Will we see any strategy in play here? Stroop very close to the back of Evo. Will we have a dive into turn one? Yes! Here it goes. Oh, Stroop bailed out of it. But I think he made Evo go maybe a little wide. Yes, that is indeed what happened. That was maybe not a dive, but that was a move that Stroop kind of bailed out of here. Very close. It looks like we have a couple of pitters, for lack of a better term. I saw 3 arrows, I think, in the pits. We will stay with the action up front for the moment. We will check the cars that have pitted. 1, 2, 3, 4 cars. Top 5 very close. Let's see the guilty parties here. Looks like Dan, the first car to pit. Then we have Pabst in the Corvette, Uncle Bob in the McLaren, and then Ost in the Lexus. So a little bit of strategy going on here early in the race, excuse me. It don't mean nothing about McLaren not being strongest car when Evo driving it. Yeah, well, if it's anything like, I'm not very familiar with Evo, but having seen what he did yesterday, it's quite a talented driver for sure. What tires are people on? I don't know if I'm allowed to disclose that, Jay, because I have other drivers watching, and therefore certain tire, I could be relaying information that the teams don't want other people to know. Stroop and Evo still nose to tail. The top 5 is kind of strung out a little bit. Jakey in P4, Zero Fight P5 in the 4GT. Zamina from Team NRT, might be getting that wrong. Spoon in P7, Slipstream P8. We have a little bit of a battle here. Looks like Bonneville has gone onto the medium tire. I will at least tell you that since that's visible. That might be the only time you get it from me though. Speedy P9, Bonneville P10 in the Mustang, Dan P11, Paps P12, Uncle Bob P13, and Ost in P14 in the Lexus. The wind, fortunately for the drivers, has not changed from how it was in qualifying. Rockzilla, welcome. How come Blue Racer didn't make quali? I believe he had a connection issue. The RA folks know better than I did. So Ost had to fill in last minute. Birthday boy in the house. Rockzilla, happy birthday. Hello, fellow October birthday. Mine was on the 18th, so hello, fellow birthday person. Didn't hear from him. That's unfortunate, because Blue is quite a talented driver himself. It would have been nice to see him in this race, although RA still has plenty of talented folks that can take the wheel. Still very close between Evo and Stroop, although Evo has pulled about a 1 second gap, has almost broke the toe. Lexus and P3. The two up front are flying, just for the record. May not seem like it because of the lap times, but I'm here to tell you that they're flying. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate that. I'm gonna go grab this keyboard. Be right back. Be right back in about 30 seconds. Ideally, my game will not explode when I plug this in. And if it does, then I will personally demote myself to scrubbing the tires for the karting team. There we go. Right as rain. Now let's get back to the action here. Struck has managed to keep it within slipstream range for the moment. But behind them, a 2.5-second gap is built to the Lexus here. 5 seconds to Zero Fight, who is in kind of a battle with Zamina. Spoon within slipstream range as well. The Viper much stronger in a straight line than the 4C. Doctor, welcome. Race starting to string out here just a little bit. Kind of the nature of endurance races when you only have 14 cars on a track this big. It's hard to have lots of constant battling going on. So we may stay with the front two for most of the race here. Looks like Slipstream is coming into pit on lap 6. We have Bonneville and Dan. Dan almost within Slipstream range. It's very close. Jakey in P11. Looks like Jakey just pitted a lap or so ago. Bob making a move on Pabs. Let's see if we can get a replay of that. Pabs had a penalty. That explains that. Bob going down the inside through the tri-oval. Manages to get in front just in time for the braking zone. Hard on the brakes. Bob makes the overtake into P11. Let's see, how do I get out of here again? There we go. That button. Beautiful. Professional broadcast here, everybody. So a little bit of a battle going on here for P11. We will stay with it here for the moment. Looking. I believe the top two are still somewhat separated. These two, one of the two battles going on the track. It looks like there is a battle for P5, a 3-car battle here. See what happens here at the bus stop, if Paps will go for a move or not. Will they work together with Bob? Bob going a little bit defensively into the bus stop. We're going to have 2 wide through the bus stop. Paps wisely bails out. All is held together mercifully. We have a 3-car battle here for P4. Zero Fight in P4, Zamina P5, and Spoon has called up to the 2 of them in P6 here through the infield. Let's do something like this. There we go. I'm gonna dive to the inside. That's a very good corner too. I used the word dive. Oh, Zero didn't appreciate that. There was a little bit of contact. Let's see what will happen on the tri-oval. The 4C, not great in a straight line. The 4GT is quite good in a straight line. Doctor, thank you. Thank you for the compliment, my friend. I appreciate that. And Stig, welcome as well. Thank you for that. Through the bus stop here. Spoon, of course, is still right behind Zero Height here. Little squirrely. Ooh, that might be a penalty. One reason we didn't pick the 4GT was for that, because it was so easy to get it wrong through the bus stop. It just does not like those curves. So that's going to take Zero Fight out of the equation for the moment. See if maybe Spoon can capitalize and take P5 from Zero Fight using every bit of the slipstream possible. And it looks like Spoon's going to get the job done. At least for the moment. So this will be an ongoing battle. Looks like Struck and Evo have separated themselves from P3. Let's have a look. Evo has broken the toe. So Evo's broken the toe. Struck still very close. Still within a second and a half. Thank you, Ray. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. It was a great day. Struck is close to slipstream range for sure. It's quite a battle we have on our hands for sure. See if Struck can hang on. Struck having a fantastic drive so far. Team ORT, Overboost Racing Team. Not in slipstream range, but still doing a very nice job in the Lexus so far. We have a gaggle of cars here. Paps is all the way up to P11. So we have another 3-car battle. Did not see what happened for the positions to be changed. Porsche, not a great car in a straight line, but with slipstream, anything is possible. Into the bus stop, we're going to stay single file though. Same as you? Nice. 35 is not a bad age at all. I still feel good. Porsche with slipstream in it, electing to not use his namesake. Maybe going to use it here in a moment to get a run into turn 1. Porsche can brake later. The brakes on it are a little better than other cars. See if Slip tries to go for a move here. Uncle Bob kind of lurking in the background for potential carnage, but no move made into turn 1 yet. Slipstream all over the back of Pabst here. Pabst goes defensive into the right-hander, but you can really just park it on the apex for this one. It's kind of a J-turn exiting. Ooh, a little bit of grass. Grass is scary in this game. Probably scary with any racing car, but... Here we go. Defensive into the long right-hander. Bob able to gain time on these two. We have another 3-car battle for P11. Onto the trial. Well, that one's so tricky to get right, especially with the wind. Ooh, a little bit of a wall scrape from Slipstream. That was, I imagine that wasn't intentional. Through the bus stop we go, one by one. That Corvette is really strong in a straight line, for sure. So we'll leave this battle alone for the moment and go through the field. Evo's still in P1. Larry, good morning. Welcome, my friend. Evo's still in P1 with about a 1.5 gap to Struck, who's done a really phenomenal job staying close. P2, of course, is Struck. 3 seconds behind Struck is Rice in the ORT Lexus. P4 is Zamina in the 4C. P5, Zero Fight in the 4GT. P6, Spoon in the Viper. P7 is Speedy in the other CLR Mustang. P8 is Bonneville in the ART Mustang. P9 is Dan in the AHR 650. P10 is Jakey, the Apex GTR. I can't get over how good this livery looks. Like, this is just so good. So good. P11 is Slipstream, who has passed Pabst in the infield. The Porsche extremely strong on the infield. Probably too late to get a replay of that. But the Corvette will be roaring back in a moment. Pabst is P12 in the Corvette. Uncle Bob P13 in the 650. And then Austin P14 in the Lexus. Looks like the only real battle we have that's close, like super close, is the one P11 or P12 maybe at this point. Porsche has managed to get away just a little bit, still within slipstream range. There will be a decent chunk of time gained here on the Tri-Oval, I would think. 167, 168 at the line, 170 to 171 at the line for the Corvette. Looks like Pabst is thinking about going defensive again. Almost gets it slightly wrong there, but Bob can't take advantage of that. Fun Police, welcome, my friend. Shame we can't see the tire wear and fuel for each car. Steve, you know, I think if it were a normal stream, Bob might be looking down the inside here. Can he get it right? Oh, it's going to be a drag race, but Pabst has the inside. Bob wisely bails out, maybe for the old switcheroo there. Doesn't quite work out. Brief lag spike, but we are alive and well. Vest, welcome, my friend. Oh, were we going to go side by side through the bus stop again? Oh, Bob bails out wisely to get a better line. And then Bob has to bail out. Oh, no. Woo. That was close. Pabst had to slow down so much, Bob could not really anticipate that and ended up having to kind of bail out. Tough break. That is a tough part of going through the bus stop. I think that was only really the only super close battle we had. We will see how this battle for P13 develops as the race goes on. Still plenty of race to go. Only lap 13. Let's see what we have going on up here. Anything, nobody within slipstream range. The arrows look close. Rice with maybe a penalty there. Nope. Looks like that was clean. Tough to tell from these TV angles. Potential battle here for P4 Still just a tiny bit within slipstream range for Zero Fight. But the 4C quite good through the infield. 4GT not nearly as agile through the infield as the 4C is. So the 4C able to build a little bit more of a gap. Alfa Romeo, an underdog. That is true. This car, I tested it. I never really considered it because it just didn't feel like it was on the same level as some of the other cars that I liked. Zamina doing a fantastic job so far. We have somebody in the pits. Not sure who that is. That was Uncle Bob. So Uncle Bob through the pits. Going to have some clean track in front of him, at least for the moment. We will see how this develops, see if this strategy works out. In the meantime, Uncle Bob does need to be wary of the cars behind him, who Struck is still within slipstream range. Just Struck keeps staying at that like 1 to 1.4 second range. Excellent job, especially at being two different cars. The Mustang very squirrely for me. So the battle for P1 not resolved at all. Looks like Evo might have had a small oops on his last lap. 46.8 compared to a 45.8 on lap 13, giving Struck the opportunity to draw back within slipstream range or thereabouts. That's the thing with these endurance races, is that the strongest drivers don't always win the race or win, you know, the stint. One mistake can change everything. And that's why consistency in these races is key. You just pound out the laps and let things kind of turn out how they may. Unfortunately, Struck not in the slipstream during the most critical part of the lap. Evo could be on a slower tire compound. Only I have the answer to that. Wahaha. I will say there's some interesting strategies in this race so far. That's all I'm willing to give. Other streamers may tell you what tires people are on, but I feel like out of respect for the hard work that these people have put in for their strategies and things like that, it wouldn't be fair for me to say, oh, you know, AHR number 1 is on blah blah tire. Or, you know, if I for some reason had a vendetta against one of the teams, I could be like, oh, this team is on the hard tire, you know, push, you know what I mean? So I don't want to do that. Out of sportsmanship and fairness for all the teams, I am choosing to. I personally am choosing to not say anything. Anyone else can say what they want. I know what tires he's on, black. True, he's on rubber tires. Evo, it looks like. Maybe Evo had a penalty before. Maybe that's what it was. Still looks to be a... They're round as well. Breaking news, tires still round. So you can see the strategy forming just a little bit. So the top 3 have separated themselves. Then there's a 10-second gap to P4. Team NRT in the 4C. So Zero Fight has caught up to Zamina just a little bit. Evo had a half-second pen. Thank you, Ray. Yes, that makes sense. Looks like Zamina may have had a penalty as well with a lap that was a second slower in the previous one. I apologize if I get your name wrong, but Fogetemix? Thank you. Thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that. If I say anybody's name wrong, just... You can either make fun of me like Stroop did until he finally corrected me, or you can just correct me and I'll do better. Feel sorry if you're here for all 6 hours. You need plenty of water or beer. I'm only doing the first 2 hours, my friend. But I am driving Stint 3, so I'll be doing 4 hours of Daytona today. Looks like we're going to have a move into the tri-oval here by Zero Fight. The 4C is just not the same. 170 to 167. Now, Zamina will be strong in the infield. Can Zero Fight make it stick into turn 1? Looks like they got through. Oh, a little bit of a wiggle from Zamina, and that's going to give Zero Fight the position for sure. May bring Spoon back into the mix for P5 as well. Beautiful camera angles. We're having a tire debate. You know, funny thing about that, you know, the lettering on a lot of the tires in this game are white. So I guess, you know, if in Formula 1, if the hards are, I think they're white, right? And mediums are red, or mediums are yellow and softs are red. That might be wrong. Formula 1 might be different. Should have been Nord's 24 at night with fog and heavy rain. That would be the saddest group of drivers you've ever seen in your life. I don't know that anybody would finish the race willingly. Monkey Base, welcome. Says go Spoon. Spoon doing a pretty good job in P6. Spoon gave me some insider info. They have 2 pad players on their team. All respect to them, by the way, with the tire wear nonsense that pad players have to go through. Hashtag fix it, Mr. Turismo. See if there are any other battles forming here. P10, Slipstream and Jakey. Jakey with the advantage for now. Looks like Spoon's going to dive into the pits to replace their medium tires. Porsche may be a little bit better in a straight line, but the toe is in play, and Pabst is also pitting for on the medium tires, to get rid of the medium tires rather. See what happens through the infield here with Slipstream and Jakey. Of course, Jakey is a fantastic driver in his own right. Tire wear is shocking on a pad unless you're super smooth. My tire wear just as bad on wheel. Jakey looking good. That livery's sweet. It gets livery of the day for me. as an unbiased commentator. Slipstream's going to try and use that super acceleration of the Porsche to maybe make a move before the bus stop. We'll see if they can get it done. The GTR just not great in a straight line. It's a great endurance car. Yep, and Jakey is going to slide in behind. Slipstream probably won't go for a move at the bus stop. Nope. Slipstream is through. Now, Jakey may make a move with the fastest part of the track still to remain on this lap for them. Let's see what happens. Also entirely possible to just kind of tuck in behind and play the long game, so to speak. Vamos Zamina, says Albuquerque. No move into turn 1. We will see how this develops. We have another battle going on a little bit ahead. Not quite as close yet for this one. Bonneville and Speedy separated by less than a second through the infield. Mustang very strong in a straight line. There's 2 Mustangs involved in this one, actually. Tell you what, these racers are really lucky the wind hasn't really changed. The direction's been about the same, the intensity's been about the same. When I practiced yesterday, it was the worst session I've ever had on this track, and the wind in about 20 laps, in about 35 minutes, it flipped 180 degrees, and then it flipped another 90 degrees, all in the span of 20 laps, and I could not get a lap together to save my life. It was the worst thing imaginable. And it looks like Zamina might be reeling in. I'm sorry, Bonneville might be reeling in Zamina a little bit. Mustang quite strong in a straight line. JP77 makes the sexy RA first team liveries that Evo is using. Would love to be that talented with liveries. I will tell you, looks like we have Speedy coming into the pits to get rid of the mediums. I'll tell you this, Steve, a lot of it is practice. A lot of it is just using the livery editor, and then you kind of, I mean, some people are, you know, more artistic than others. Like, I'm not the most artistic, but you spend enough time with the livery editor and you look at other people's designs and get ideas. It can kind of inspire you. Netterbos, good afternoon, my friend. It is morning time over here. Good morning. Here we go. Bonneville attempting a move around the outside, but it holds. Let's take a look at that one. Actually, wait. There might still be a move to be had here onto the tri-oval, and yes, Bonneville takes P5 for the moment. Let's see. I screwed that up. There we go. World's Worst Replay brought to you by DJ Brohawk. Not seen Ost yet. I've been going through the field. Ost is hiding in here somewhere. Evo now on to pit. The pit stops are coming. Lap 21. Ost and Struke into the pit. Struke able to save a little bit of fuel that will help, depending on how much they respectively put into their cars. So for now, the lead is taken by Team ORT. Lots of pit stops happening. Some strategy is already played out. We will see how much more strategy there is. For the moment, we're going to see more folks pitting. And it looks like Evo has come out well ahead. So Evo's in a really good position in that they have clean track, both in front and behind. Great job by Bonnie so far. Awesome pad driver. I have mad respect to any pad players out there. For sure. So some teams have pitted already. So it'll be interesting to see how the strategy plays out as we go forward. Slipstream still with the fastest lap at a 45.5. I imagine that time will be coming down soon. Looks like Team ORT coming in for a pit stop here. They were on the soft tire, so take that for how you will. Stream snipers. Now Zamina coming into the pits. Very well done with the fuel there. They were on mediums. Dan was on the mediums. Look at all this tire info you're getting for free. Slipstream was on the softs. Dan's doing pretty well. Where is Bob? We'll get to Bob in a second. Looks like Spoon will be coming into the pits. I suspect they were doing a 1 lap on the hard strategy. Now we'll go to Speedy. Speedy will gain some positions through the pit stops. We may have a battle on our hands here for P7. Cycling through pit stops here. Looks like Bob is up to P11 for the moment. I don't know why it says Bob is pitted 3 times. I don't think that's accurate. If I had to guess, I'm going to hazard a guess and say that he has not pitted 4 times this race. But currently about a 3.8 second gap to P12. Similar gap, a little over 3 seconds to P13 for Slipstream and Past, and then Spoon P14 for the moment, although Spoon just pitted. Now we have the Lexus doing their 1 lap on the hards to get it out of the way. It looks like through the first round of quote-unquote official pit stops, we're going to see positions kind of work themselves out. So as it turns out, Evo gained a bunch of time in the pits, and you can perceive that however you might like. They were only about, I think, a second apart before pit stops. And so fuel could come into play here. Struck now with the fastest lap, 45.578. First round of pit stops may not be exactly over just yet. Jakey will have to pit soon. Not sure if Jakey is the last one. It looks like he is not. So there are still some positions to be sorted here. Still a long way to go. Only on lap 24. Streak with the fastest lap. That's a super quick time. Yeah, 45, a mid 45. Streak had a pen on the way in. Oof. Did not see that one. Yeah, mid 45 is solid. I think especially in these conditions. These conditions, although to be fair, Evo did a 44 or something with similar wind in qualifying. Now we are slowly lowering the fastest lap. Evo at a 45.5, Streak was thrown down a 45.3. So for now, Jakey in P3. It'll be interesting to see how this develops going forward with Strook and Evo. There's only a half-second penalty, says Ray. I'm going to hazard a guess some fuel strategy is in play here. Stop the race, Austin P4. Stop the count. I don't know how many of you will get that reference. Not nearly as many Americans in here. Yes, Austin P4 for the moment. Speedy P5 will take a quick trip through the field. Dan in P6. Looks like Dan and Bonneville might be up for a battle here. Less than a second separates the two of them. Bonnie Purple going into the bus stop. Mustang, of course, very strong in a straight line. Maybe a little squirrely through the bus stop there. Lost maybe half a tenth, but got a better exit out of the bus stop than Dan did. Now Jakey is into the pits. And it looks like Ost will also be coming into the pits. Carrying on. Zero Fight will be in P7. Now Evo has the fastest lap of the 45.2. All I will say about the wind is that if it stays like this and doesn't change, I'll be happy. Knowing me, I will get a tornado blowing through the infield. Zero Fight P6, 2.5 seconds behind Bonneville. Rice in P7, 3.6 seconds behind. Zamna, 1.5 seconds behind in P8. Uncle Bob, 4.5 seconds behind in P9. Jakey, 6 seconds behind in P10. Slipstream, within 1.5 seconds. We might have another battle on our hands between Jakey and Slipstream. 1.8 seconds behind is Pabst. And then Spoon, 5.5, almost 6 seconds behind in P13. Still a lot of strategy going on. We won't really know how this all falls until we get to the final stint. Probably around lap 50 or so will we have an idea of how the baton will be passed to stint 2. I think it's fair to say that the top 2 or 3 definitely are on their own way to handing it over. In the top 3, Strook and Evo have just kind of drove off with it. Really well driven by both of them so far. Then Ost for now in P14, although Ost is doing spot duty, and I cannot imagine I can't imagine doing a race where you're hanging out and then your team calls you and is like, hey, we need you to drive this 2-hour race that you may or may not have practiced for. No strategy, maybe no practice. And so I have all the respect for Ost for stepping in, helping his team out for sure. So the gap between Evo and Strook really hasn't grown that much. It's grown a little. Another 45.2 from Evo. So it looks like the top 5, we're going to have some action here for a podium spot. Dan 1 second behind Speedy, and Bonneville right behind as well. So we'll see how this plays out on the trial with a Mustang, a 650, and a Mustang. Bonneville's right on the back of Dan now. Dan maybe not able to get much of slipstream, maybe a sitting duck after the bus stop. Now Evo has it down to a 45-1. Still no news from Blue, getting a bit worried. I will say, Hansa, I don't know where Blue lives or where they're from, but AHR team number 2 had a driver whose power went out. And it was, I think it was going to be their Stint 2 tank bro, his power went out, and so he can't drive, basically. So, could be what's happened to Blue. And it looks like Bonneville's going to make a move for P4 into turn 1. Let's have another look at that one. Mustang is just better than the McLaren in a straight line, and into turn 1, Dan, I think, wisely bails out and lets Bonneville have the position for now. So we will go in chase cam with Dan for the moment, see how this plays out, see if maybe Dan can use the tow of the 2 cars in front. Not the only close battle going on, which is kind of impressive. 28 laps in, we still have several little chunks of cars, maybe only 2 cars at a time. Dan getting a little bit of a worse exit. Bonneville's driving really nicely. Just slowly brought the gap down to P3. And it looks like we just had a potential... Let's see what happened here. I thought I saw Uncle Bob's name pop up. Something has happened. Let's see if I can figure it out. Oh, Zamina went into the wall coming out of the bus stop. Oh, no. That is brutal. And so, heavy damage, I believe, is on, and so that's something that'll have to be repaired for sure. Yep, and there's Zamina in the pits to repair the damage. Unfortunate to have happened. That bus stop is tricky. It is tricky. And it is brutal. Evo continuing to be purple. 40. Just the lap times are just coming down. There's a threat for a 44 here. In all my testing, I could not get a 44. No, quite a driver on our hands. 44.9. Struck has fallen back a little bit. And really, Struck isn't even putting up bad lap times. It's just that Evo is putting up crazy lap times. So between the top 2, yes, and we do hope that Blue Racer is okay. Not sure what happened. It looks like it might have been a lag spike. It looks like Struck may have gone to cut some grass, but that might also just be a lag spike. So the top 2 have quite a gap. Looks like we still have a battle going on for P3. P3, 4, and 5, all within about a second of each other. Still purple, says Ray. I know that, from my understanding, a mid-44 is technically possible on low fuel. Maybe like a 44.6. I cannot do that, but somebody much better than me could maybe do that. I would love to study the way that he drives since he's driving the same car. Can we watch a lap from P1? Where is he? It is a little laggy, James, but... And technically I can't show the tire wear and fuel, or I don't want to, because that's not fair. Even though you could probably surmise what tires everyone is on at this point. Honestly, James, you're probably better off not gathering anything from this, because, you know, spectating, they break later than they actually do. So, like, spectating is only so helpful, because for whatever reason it shows them braking slightly later than they do, because having driven this track 1,000 laps, he's braking way later than you should be, unless he's got super brakes. It looks like Uncle Bob is into the pits from P8. Slugsy, hello, my friend. Welcome. I mean, at this point in the race, you can probably guess that most of the drivers are onto the soft tire now. James, I think you'll be just fine, my friend. You may not have practiced a lot, but you're quite talented in your own right. Oh, Evo has pulled, I mean, another 45-1, like, just crazy. Absolutely crazy. Evo is in the zone, if I do say so myself. I suspect the top two are on a similar-ish strategy. And so the gap between these two is probably about what it's going to be at the end of the race, in terms of, like, there's not going to be any drastic change because of pit strategy or things like that. As for the battle for P3, it looks like Bonneville is up to P3 and is starting to pull away. Now it's Speedy and Dan who are going through it here in the infield. Yeah, Dan is right on top of Speedy. Speedy had a 47.0 lap 29. Maybe that was a penalty, a half-second penalty. Dan will have full effect of the slipstream here going on to the tri-oval. The bus stop is always a scary proposition when you're this close to somebody. If it were me, and it's not, but if it were me, I would try to keep it about this distance. Try and brake a little early and get a better run out of the bus stop. Looks like Dan, similar idea. Didn't get quite the run out of the bus stop that he might have wanted, but the full effect of the tow, he's already starting to bring the gap down. I imagine we will see a move going into or prior than turn one. Speedy going defensive, but it may not be enough. We'll see. 650 got into that wind and kind of died. Oh, this is going to be close. Mustang is better. Top end. Oh, there was a little contact. Oh, we're going to have to watch that again. Then Dan ended up mowing some grass. Let's watch that again from Chase Cam. Ooh, Dan gave him lots of space. Ooh, the stewards might have to have a look at that one. Dan gave loads of space on the inside. That's tough. It's tough to go side by side through that corner for sure. And now Dan is 7 seconds behind with a penalty. Let's see if we can catch what happened to him. Nope, that happened too long ago. Unfortunate for Dan. And Dan is none too happy in the chat. In any case, Dan has a penalty. Dan probably feels like he was forced out wide after that turn one side by side. Still had his nose in there, ended up being forced into the grass, which presumably gave him dirty tires, which presumably caused him to crash, so we will see. But for now, Dan is probably going to fall into P6. And actually, Rice decides to concede, fighting for P5 for the moment. Zero Fight into the pits. And Zero Fight picked up some damage, which is why they are pitting with nearly half a tank of fuel left. Unfortunate situation for Team DCT at this point in the race. Still, we're not even really at the halfway mark yet. I mean, there's still so much racing to go. Uncle Bob in P13 for now, and Zamina in P14 for now. Zamina, of course, crashed exiting the bus stop earlier, picking up damage that they had to repair. Still a lot of strategy left here. Let's see what we have going through the field. We have Slipstream and Spoon within a second of each other. Viper will be able to pick up loads of time. Although not a great exit of the corner there from Spoon, and so they may not be able to gain much time through the tri-oval this go around. Let's see what other battles we have going on here. Dan and Rice from Team ORT. Still very close together. Looks like Team ORT may be content to ride in the slipstream of Dan for the moment. Certainly a valid strategy for sure. A little bit further on back. Spoon is now within 6/10, 5/10, and that Viper is so fast in a straight line compared to the Porsche. Now here is where the Porsche really shines. When I was testing, the Porsche was way faster in the tri-oval. Spoon with maybe a psychological attempt, gets a little loose out of the right-hander there, maybe trying to show up on the radar but not really go for a move, but we'll see if Spoon goes for a move here into this right-hander. Unfortunately for Spoon, the Porsche is fantastic on the brakes. For me personally, the idea for me is, especially when I know the Porsche is really strong in the infield, just tuck in behind and then use your rocket ship of a car to make the overtake on the tri-oval. Slugsy will do Stint 2 for us, just stepped in. What a legend. Slipstream trying to give as little of the tow as possible to Spoon. Smart decision. See if Spoon can get a good run out of the bus stop. Not a great exit. But here is where the Viper really shines. really no comparison when it comes to top speed. It looks like Pabst is in the pits. And so Spoon up into P8 for the moment. We'll see how long that lasts, though. Porsche's very fast through the infield, and the toe is kind of the equalizer for some of these cars that are not quite as good top end. Dan pulled away a little bit from Rice so far. Evo now into the pits. Slugsy is the new turbo. If you know, you know. We call him Mr. Reliable. So for now, Struck has taken the provisional lead. So they're not on the exact same strategy, are Evo and Struck at this point. Have to imagine Struck will be coming in any lap now. Bonneville has pulled a pretty large gap on Speedy at this point, and Evo and Bonneville come out of, Evo comes out of the pits as Bonneville approaches. It could be tough. Let's see what's happening here. I'm sure Evo would not like to be held up for any reason. And that Mustang is a real devil in a straight line, so it will not be an easy overtake for sure. See what happens as we get onto the tri-oval here. Don't know why it did that. Weird dimensional glitches from Gran Turismo. Depending on how long Evo gets behind Bonneville here, may not ultimately make a huge difference, but that is a bonus to Struck. For as long as Struck can maintain a decent pace. Maybe a penalty there from Bonneville. Yes, Evo is going to get clear track. So ultimately Evo won't really be held up all that much. So through goes Evo. And now it looks like Speedy is coming into the pits with no fuel left. Very well calculated by Speedy there. Now we have Dan coming into the pits with very little fuel left. And so Rice will move up into P4 for the moment. Going back through the field, Jakey is currently in P7. I think Jakey will end up moving up as we cycle through some pit stops. I would imagine each team probably has one pit stop left, including the ones that you're seeing right now. Spoon is into the pits. That's my guess. I don't know that everyone has used their appropriate tires, but fortunately Gran Turismo will handle that part of it. Slipstream in P6. In the Porsche, Ost in P7 for now in the Lexus. That also sounded like a crashing sound. And it looks like Speedy and Dan are in the thick of it once again. Dan looks like, after their incident earlier in the race, I am sure Dan would love to overtake Speedy and leave him in the dust as Struck now comes into pit. We will see how this plays out going forward. Team DCT is in P10, and we have a battle for P10 with him and Uncle Bob. Evo goes through to P1, Bonneville for now into P2. About a half-second gap. That Ford GT is very strong in a straight line, so it will be tough for Bob to make up any ground. But we will see. For now, we'll stick with Bob and Zero Fight here coming through the bus stop. Oh, and it looks like Zero Fight had a moment. Let's check out what happened on the replay here coming out of the bus stop. Okay, got a little squirrely, and ooh, what a save. What a save. That could have ended much, much worse. But that does let Bob through into P10. And with that slide, how will that affect tire wear? But that right there is why I did not like the Ford GT. I was afraid I could not get 66 laps out of that thing without screwing up the bus stop. And so fair play to them for using the Ford GT, because that is a sketchy car through that bus stop. It feels good everywhere else. Pabst is in P12. Not really anyone near them front or back. Spoon in P13 and Zamina in P14, although Zamina looks like they are closing the gap to P13 just a little bit. And now Bonneville comes into the pits. We will see, presumably, Stroop cycle through once Rice pits, but that may be a little while. We will see. Still, Evo has developed a 16-second gap to Stroop. The Ford Twerk. Well, this is what you get for having weirdo servers. I blame PD for this. See if there are any other battles going on here. We have Dan and Ost. I think Dan may have just passed Ost. Let's see if we can get that on the replay. Indeed, into the tri-oval, the McLaren, a little stronger than the Lexus. Dan goes down the inside. Dan goes a little wide, but manages to hold the position. When you're used to hitting that turn one at like 168 or 170, when you hit it at 174, a little bit difficult to get that part right. Dan is clear up into P7. Let's see what we have going on. I don't think there are any real battles occurring for the moment. Looks like Spoon is pulling away from Zamina for now. Yes, fun. Dan is moving. Where is Spoon? Spoon is in P13 for now. Spoon just had a pit stop, so it's possible that they might not actually be P13, but there's so many different strategies going on right now. I agree, Baz. We can only hope that this mega update, quote-unquote mega update that's coming out next week, will include stable lobbies. We'll probably get some menu books and some 1975 historic car that nobody drives. I'm not bitter. But yes, Dan is on a mission, for sure. I'm guessing Dan just pitted. That's what lap 37 and 38 are with the 2-minute times. Either that or Dan's having a true mare of a time. Dan is 2/10 purple. For the moment. Dan is a heck of a driver himself, having driven with him for probably, what, a year now? Quite a driver himself. He's as capable as anybody in AHR, that is for sure. See how he does through the bus stop? Don't think that was a great bus stop. Nope, not purple anymore. Still 2.5 tenths faster than his fastest, though. But I can imagine, Angry Dan is a fast driver, that is for sure. Slipstream is now almost within Slipstream range. Yeah, Larry, Dan is fired up. I think he feels like he was maybe a little unjustly run off the track earlier and is in super focus mode right now because he is moving. 45.3 from Dan. Still going a little wide into turn 1, I think, but he now has Slipstream and P6 firmly in his sights. I think this is really the only battle we have that is within a second. I mean, look, Dan is just gobbling up time from Slipstream. And it could be that Dan is on a softer tire than Slipstream. We are approaching that point where some teams, see, there's 20, you pit at the end of lap 67 to pass the baton over. We are possibly seeing the situation where teams may try to hold out for another 5 laps or so, and that'll be their last pit stop. I think most teams still have 1 pit stop to make, so it will be interesting. Dan now within 3 tenths. Dan is moving, folks. He is moving. Sim League Pro, welcome. Through the tri-oval, Dan's going to make a move. The far superior McLaren to the Porsche in a straight line. This battle may not be over, though. The Porsche is really good on the brakes. Dan has to be careful for a move from Slipstream here into turn 1. I think the Slipstream would absolutely love to do that, but it looks like that's not going to happen. And Dan may well and truly be on his way at this point. Looks like we have another battle developing just behind them between Austin and Speedy. We will stay on board with Austin. For the moment, less than a second separating these two. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. The Ford Twerk. I don't know why all the Mustangs seem to be the ones lagging. Most of it, the rest of it looks pretty good. Although Evo, I think, was lagging a little for me, too. Speedy not really able to make up much of a gap here, but the Mustang, again, very strong in a straight line. Looking at things right now, the like button isn't balanced out with the viewers we have. I actually can't see how many likes the stream has. Maybe if I wasn't on the IRO YouTube account, I could see it. I actually can't tell. There is no like button for me, actually. Which I guess makes sense. It'd be like voting for yourself. It's like something dirty about it, liking your own stream, right? Speedy has gained a little bit of time, down to a half-second gap between him and Ost. Ost struggling a little bit, it would seem. So there may be an overtaking opportunity here shortly. How many coffees is it safe to drink before a race? Well, James, you in bathroom situations during races, I don't know. It being you, the answer might be 0. Do what Ears is doing and have a can of Monster and 2 coffees? Man, y'all are crazy. Y'all's hearts are gonna give out by the time you're 40. Here's a DJ Brohawk fun fact. I don't drink coffee or energy drinks ever, and that's not an exaggeration. Like, the amount of coffee I've drank in my life, you could probably fit into a single coffee cup. All right, so Rice is finally pitting. Was in P2. Pit stops during a pit stop should be allowed. I mean, I hear you. But what happens when you pick your tire and you're not back when the car starts rolling out of the pits? You have what happened to James in our very first Apex Hunter Racing team race. I think James still beat me too, if I recall correctly, despite being nose to the wall after a pit stop. Let's go back on with Speedy and Ost for now. I think that's really the only super close battle. There is one developing on the tri-oval that I can see. There must have been an incident in turn 3. That's because you don't wake up until 10 a.m. Here's another fun fact for you, Larry. I used to work first shift at a TV station where I was getting up at 2:30 in the morning, and I still never drank coffee. But I did have an hour-long commute to wake up, so there's that. James party. Oh, he's telling James to get in party. I saw something about how many prayers do I have to make before my stint. Oh. Well, past Nicalda. You still have 22 laps. You still have about 30, 45 minutes. However long you need to pray. If you need to make a long prayer, probably start now. Let the prayer soak in a little bit before you have to drive. You don't want to be like, the message is still going up when your stint starts, because there's no telling what will happen then. And so it looks like Speedy may have had an oops and Ost able to pull away just a little bit. James also stepping in for us as Slipstream goes into the pits. Slipstream on the mediums. James stepping in for Tank Bro. James, you are car number 404. Just for your own knowledge. Let's see what we have going on up here. Looks like Speedy is slowly being reeled in by Rice, who just pitted. Uncle Bob 4 seconds behind in P9. Bob has been driving around by himself for a while, which is kind of the ideal situation for me in an endurance race if you want to make up time. Bob started P13, and so sometimes it's best if you can kind of strategize yourself a clean track. Makes everything better. You can just put your head down and get to work, if you will. Pabst 11, almost 12 seconds behind in P10. Zero Fight P11. And here we have a battle for P11 developing between Zero Fight and Spoon. Sometimes it's tough, like Jakey in the pits now. Presumably this will be Jakey's final pit stop. In racing, we all want to win, right? Like, we all want to do well, and I think when you get in these endurance races and you're not in the top 3 or 5 or whatever, it can be really hard to, you know, stay focused or stay motivated, but I think it's important to remember in these races that literally every single good lap you do matters. Spoon, maybe with a penalty there, a little bit of an oops coming out of the bus stop. Gran Turismo deems it clean. My conspiracy theory about this track is that I think the bus stop is actually bugged, and if you do it just right, the game thinks you're crashing and won't give you a penalty coming out of the hitting the fourth curve. Zero fight coming into the pits, so there will be no battle into turn 1. Spoon will just take the position for now. Lap 47. We are winding down stint number 1. Hans's longest race ever was a race hosted by Super GT on GT Sport, 200 laps at Spa. Finished P6, 3 laps down, 7 hours, 48 minutes. More power to you, my friend. That is far too long in the seat for me. And with it being a team race, anything can happen, says Baz. That is absolutely correct. We have seen a couple of crashes that completely changed the dynamic of this race. Zamino was having a fantastic run and then crashed and had to pit to repair damage. But that can also happen to anyone. That can happen to anybody. It could happen to me. I honestly think I am the most vulnerable out of pretty much anybody driving because I had to get up at the crack of dawn this morning and I am not an early person. And so while I feel okay now, by the time noon BST rolls around and it's time for me to roll out of the pits, you know, who knows how I'm going to be feeling. So Evo comfortably in P1 at this point. 30-second lead over Struke. From Struke to Bonneville, 8 seconds. From Bonneville to Dan is a little under 10 seconds. From Dan to Speedy, 16 seconds. From Speedy to Uncle Bob, looks like we may have had a move into P6 from Uncle Bob. Let's have a look. See if we can catch anything here. It looks like no, we can't. That move happened before the replay. Uncle Bob into P6. Rice in P7. Jakey in P8. Pabst in P9. Spoon P10. Slipstream P11. Do the second stint drivers wait for message in lobby chat? I'm pretty sure Dan should tell you when he is fully stopped. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, James, but I'm pretty sure as soon as Dan is fully stopped, he says go. But, James, for the record, James, even though I don't know for 100% certainty, and I love Dan is not going to be P1 at the end of this race, barring a disaster, and so you'll be in the lobby when the race goes, and so whenever Race Asylum's team goes, if there's no text message, you should just assume Dan's going to tell you. I would assume Dan's going to tell you anyway, but you know, I don't have the exact answer for that. Dan is moving though, that is for sure. Yeah, James, Dan has to like... So it's not when he enters the pits, it's actually when he stops in his box like an actual endurance race. I think some endurance groups do the chat message, but that also kind of relies on the... Oh, it's the race director. Yeah, that makes sense. So let's see what kind of battles we have developing here. Looks like we are encountering some lapped traffic with Evo. Slipstream, let's see if Slipstream concedes. I'm a little surprised Evo's not using the toe here. Slipstream is just going to concede the position here. Or by position, I mean concede the... basically get out of the way is the English words I'm trying to use here. Uncle Bob into the pits from, I believe he was in P6. Presumably this will be the final pit stop for Uncle Bob. Now is roughly when we are going to see where people are going to be. Now let's see if how Ost gets out of the way of his teammate, because a battle for position technically is happening behind Evo, if you will, and it looks like a very easy overtake. Classy stuff from both Evo and Ost there. That is textbook as to how you give way to a faster car when you are a lap down, and it looks like out comes Bob from the pits in P12 for the moment. I would say in the next 5 to 7 laps, we will get exactly where people are as we get ready to hand over to stint number 2. We have 40 watching in the house. It's very exciting. Big shout outs to everyone. Thank you for joining as we are in the Bolex 6hrs of Daytona, the very first race put on by IRO, the International Racing Organization. So Evo is through. Otherwise, what do we have going on the track? Zero Fight and Zamina are within a second and a half of each other. Perhaps a battle brewing here. We will see. Yupe, thank you, my friend. Thank you for the compliment, my friend. I appreciate that. PHL, thank you as well. I appreciate that. I'm glad to have you along on my favorite Gran Turismo track in one of my favorite games. Even though I smack talk Gran Turismo in the AHR Discord all the time, Gran Turismo is still a love of mine. Evo into the pits. So we'll see where Evo comes out. Evo, not much fuel on the soft tires. They're gonna have to do a tire change and fill her up. This is what I love about endurance racing. It's just, there's so much strategy, and you can play the long game kind of in the middle of the race and gain a lot of time. And the fuel fill being slower adds the strategy. So Evo temporarily, let's see where Evo's gonna come out. There goes Struke. So just behind Struke, but that's all. And now we do have a battle on for P13. See how this develops here. But the dreaded blue flag appears. Technically, a battle for position is going on behind P13 and 14. This will be very interesting. We'll see if this becomes a problem. I'm glad all looks and sounds good, Yupe. I appreciate that. Thank y'all for letting me know as well. So Zero Fight in the much stronger Ford GT when it comes to the tri-oval. Of course, it is sketchy through the bus stop. Managed to hold it together pretty well there. Now Pabst is into the pits. We'll see how that develops. Although they are putting fuel in now, so it's unlikely they will be overtaken. And then Zamina dives into the pits with no fuel left. They were on the hards. Now, moving up in the field, we have Bob and Slipstream. Slipstream only a half second ahead of Bob for the moment. Bob gained a ton of time in that corner. It's possible that either Slipstream made a mistake or Slipstream on a harder compound of tire. We will see. And here the McLaren can really take advantage of its straight line speed. Slipstream looks like maybe going defensive into the bus stop. Bob learning his lesson from last time. Let's see if Bob can get a run on Slipstream. McLaren is stronger in a straight line than the Porsche. 165, 66 at the line. It is close. Bob holds it into turn one, and the overtake is made by Bob. It looks like Dan has just come out of the pits for what presumably will be his final pit stop. Dan has been flying. His fastest lap is a 45.1, and speaking of fastest laps, I believe Evo has lowered the fastest lap time. That was back on lap 47. It has been a little while. 44.892. Now we have Bonneville in the pits, presumably for the last time, and Evo has actually overtaken Struck here. And so Evo, I think at this point, well on his way to having a phenomenal stint, handing over to yet another one of Race Asylum's talented folks. So Bonneville's in the pits. Here comes Speedy. I think Speedy will be able to overtake them. As will Rice in the Lexus. Jakey in P6. Jakey has been lurking in the middle of the pack pretty much the entire race, but has put together a really nice, solid stint with the strategy and all. Now finds himself in P6. Dan currently in P7. And then there is a pretty big gap to Ost in P8. And it looks like Uncle Bob is on the charge at this point, as he has broken the slipstream from the appropriately named slipstream and is now pushing forward. We will see how that develops as the race comes, as the stint comes to a close. James, join stint 2, please, says Nick. Hope I can do Bob proud, says Wayne. Wayne, you're gonna do just fine, buddy. Just drive your race, get the car to me in one piece. And your favorite American will take it from there. It's about an 11-second slipstream. It's about an 11-second gap. See, my brain's already failing, and my stint is still 2.5 hours away. 11-second gap to Pabst in P11. Spoon is in P12. Could be a battle developing here as well between Pabst and Spoon. Zero Fight 17 seconds behind, and Zamina in P14, 36 seconds behind. We do have the blue flag coming up. Evo has opened a 2-second gap on Struck. They were nose to tail for the first stint. Perhaps not on the same compound of tire now, however. Still, Struck has done a fantastic job so far, giving his team a chance at the podium. Really, that's all you can do in an endurance race, is just get the car around the track in one piece and let your talented teammates carry the torch. Looking through the field, I'm looking for any arrows that are close together. Spoon and Pabst. Spoon is slowly closing the gap. No pressure, eh? You know, something like this. Oh, whoops. No, bad DJ. Bad, there we go. Oh, you couldn't see I accidentally hit O on the controller. You just gotta have fun with this. There's a quote out there, and I forget the exact quote, but it's something like, if you do something for fun, you have all of your skill, but if you do something trying to win something, you end up not having all of your full abilities. And so if you start worrying about pressure and, you know, trying to do the team proud and all, you end up overthinking and overdriving, and just drive. Just drive. Just have a good time. This is all this is about anyway. There's nothing at stake here, you know. Bob has decreased the gap any. Pulled a 2-second gap on Slipstream. Dan 3 seconds behind Jakey for the moment. Almost looks like the GTR's tail lights are off as you get a really nice look at that sweet, sweet livery. And so you see here with technically 12 laps to go, I think, 11 and a half at this point. I think all the pit stops. You pay, yes. I understand, brother. I understand. Believe me. I want AHR to look good. Jakey on the hunt. Yes. Yes, he is. He is within a second of Speedy, and I think just took a huge chunk out of Speedy on the bus stop. JP, thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. Good to see you. GTR not strong at all in a straight line, but it is a good endurance car. And Dan is lurking as well back there. Still a ways back. But if Speedy and Jakey get into a battle in the infield here, Dan might be able to make up some time. So we will stay on board with these two for the moment. I think this is really the only super close battle we have. The infield is really a place where you can tell if you're on a softer tire than the person you're chasing, because if you're gaining gobs of time on every corner, chances are they're going to be ripe for the taking. I think Jakey thought about a move here. See if maybe Jakey can get a run going onto the tri-oval, although the Mustang will be hard to pass. It's very frustrating to be the one doing the chasing in this situation, because you know you're faster than them if you're on a softer tire, but you still have to get around them. And on a track like this where you're not in a very good top speed car, it can be very, very difficult. Jakey presumably trying to bleed off a little speed before going into the bus stop. Doesn't want to use the toe exactly. Pretty smooth through there. But look, Dan is now only 2 seconds behind because Jakey is being held up. So Dan is in that ideal position where he's not caught up in the battle just yet, but he's able to gain time because these two are going to be squabbling over a position. See if Jakey goes for a move. Look at that Mustang pull away. Late on the brakes. Jakey trying to make it stick around the outside. Maybe a little contact, but that was clean. Whew, around the outside. That was clean. Now Speedy looking down the inside. Almost a little bit of contact. Ooh, that was close. We're getting into the final 10 laps of stint number 1. Now, this battle is not over. This GTR is ripe for the picking on the tri-oval, so Jakey's gonna have to put as much time as possible between he and Speedy. Breaking the toe is certainly a good start, and there is still the bus stop. Yes, that was a lovely move. Look, here comes the Mustang. Not even anywhere near the bus stop yet. Jakey may have done well enough, though, in the infield. Let's see. Jakey with a fantastic bus stop. That may be far enough to where the Mustang is now safely out of the picture, but Speedy now has his arch nemesis Dan right behind him once again. Maybe that's backwards. Maybe Dan's arch nemesis is Speedy. As you may recall, they had a incident in turn 1 earlier in the race where Dan went wide and Speedy maybe broke a little too late. May have forced Dan off the track. Ooh, a little wiggle from Speedy. Speedy going defensive, but he brakes really late. Can Dan sneak his nose in there? Yes, he can. Oh, they're still side by side. The Mustang's torque is really carrying it through here. Oh. Now Dan's going to have to try and go around the outside. We have ourselves a barn burner. Is Dan going to go for it here? No, he's not. He's playing the patience game. He's going to try and get him at the bus stop. I just know Dan would love nothing more than to get past Speedy. Is Dan going to go for a move in the bus stop? Oh. No, he bailed out of it. Smart play by Dan. Speedy getting a little squirrely on the bus stop. Update, Blue is alive, just slept a bit too long. Yeah, that happens. All right. Speedy put on the blinkers. Speedy is pitting, so Dan is through into P6. I'm sure Dan will be relieved. That was intense. Now Jakey has a 3-second lead on Dan. Presumably this will be Speedy's last pit stop. Speedy does have 7 laps to do at this point. Tell you what, let's just go straight through the field here as pit stops have pretty much all cycled through. We will catch where Speedy ends up. And Evo has lowered the fastest lap yet again. Lap 58. Still a 44.8, but a slightly faster one. Good luck to everyone in Stint 2, by the way, if you've been watching and are driving. So we have Evo in P1 with an 11-second lead over Struck in P2. For now. Struck with a 33-second gap to Bonneville in P3. Rice in the Lexus for Team Overboost Racing Team in P4. Jakey is lurking, however. So, a little under 1.5 seconds behind is Jakey in P5, 3.3 seconds to Dan in P6, 26 seconds to Austin P7. Uncle Bob 1.8 seconds behind in P8. He's slowly been reeling Aust in, I believe. Aust, remember, is filling in. More Blue Racer came into this cold and is at P7, doing extremely well at this point. Bob in P8, about 1.8 seconds behind is Speedy in P9, about 4 seconds behind is Slipstream in P10, about 8 seconds behind is Pabst in P11, then 2 seconds behind is Spoon in P12, 26 seconds behind is Zero Fight, P13, and 22 seconds behind is Zamina in P14. So that is where we stand right now. And Evo just threw down a 44.6. My goodness. The wind has not really changed either, which makes this a lot easier to be consistent. A 44.6 is crazy, folks. If you're not familiar with driving this track or pace or whatever, this fella right here is flying. Like, this is just mental pace. And there is Struck in for a pit stop, and so Evo is going to have a commanding lead, passing the baton over to Stint 2. Now, the real question is going to be, how close is Bonneville to Struck? Bonneville's picked up a half-second penalty. So we will see. Struck will not have to fill up, but we will see. And it looks like Struck is going to come out just in front. Is it just in front? Let's see. Yes. 5 seconds, 4 seconds. The timer coming down a little bit. 4.4 seconds. And you may have noticed Struck is on the hard tire. I actually don't know if Evo has used the hard tire yet, so there is that. I will tell you, pit loss for just a tire change isn't that long. It's certainly not 42 seconds. It is closer to about 15 seconds. So, the lead for Evo is not in any danger. If things stand as they are, I should say. I'm just trying my best to commentators curse everything. Another 44.6 from Evo, by the way. This is remarkable speed. I need to take some lessons from him, I think. Let's see, do we have any battles going on the track? Bob has reeled in Austin, is now within slipstream range. We have a battle for P7 on our hands. So there is that. And we have a battle for P4. Jakey has reeled in the Lexus as well. And Dan lurking as well back there in P6. So here we go. We're about to have a three-way battle for P4. Jakey late on the brakes. Believe me, I would have loved to have slept too long today. I would have felt much better. Glad Blue Racer is okay. We have all slept too long. Now Dan is within a second. So here we go. Jakey's going to go down the inside and try to make it stick. Wow, nice racing between the two of them. Jakey couldn't quite get it done, but now Dan is right behind both of them. So on to the tri-oval, we have 3 cars within a second of each other after 63 laps. This is what we race for, right? And it looks like Jakey is going for the bump draft instead of trying to do a move into the bus stop. Brakes a little early. Smart play by everyone. A little squirrely through the bus stop. Looking behind, Dan, I assume, made it through the bus stop okay. Looks like nobody picked up a penalty there. Never like to see any penalties. We will have a battle for P2, I think, at some point, but for now we will stay on board with these 3. lap 64. We are down to, what is that, 3 laps to go, 4 laps to go? I always count wrong. Jakey down the inside. Beautiful, beautiful move. Let's have another look at that one. So Lexus is not the best in a straight line, and the close toe here. Jakey goes to the inside. Space given on the inside. Beautiful. Beautifully done. Now we will see if Dan can do something about the Lexus. If it were me, I'd probably give the Lexus a bump rather than try and scare it into thinking it's got to go defensive through the bus stop. But everybody operates a little differently, although Dan may try and take the McLaren past the Lexus into the bus stop, and it looks like that's what he's going to do. That is a bold move from Dan, but that is the kind of thing that gains you positions in a race, especially late. Dan may have gotten a penalty there, though. That was close. Nope, Mr. Turismo calls it clean, and now the 650 can go hunting for the GTR. That was quite a bold move by Dan for sure. That is, I don't think I would have done that. Very, very smart racing from Dan. So here we go. Dan in P5, Jakey in P4. There's only 3 laps left. 67 is when it's over for stint number 1. Good luck again to everybody in stint 2. Let's see what we have going on. And it looks like Struck has been overtaken. We did miss it, although I will tell you that Struck is on the hard tires and Bonneville is on the soft, so it probably wasn't much of a battle to begin with anyway, just because of the tire difference. So we will stay with Jakey and Dan for now. And don't forget, the Lexus still lurking back there. Sometimes a harder tire can still be fine if there's a battle going on in front of you. Yes, Larry, great racing all around there. Dan made a bold move before into the bus stop. I don't think he's close enough to do it again, but look, he is just eating up the GTR. He will be in prime position to potentially take the position back, although he kind of went into the bus stop a little wide. He didn't quite get it right, but 4/10 should still be a pretty good tow. The wind in that GTR's face is going to really slow it down. Yep, here comes Dan, 3.5 tenths, 3 tenths. Jakey may just have to concede the position at this point, but we'll see. Yep, there goes Dan. Really nothing Jakey can do. The McLaren is just too fast in a straight line compared to the GTR. Yupe, thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. I will be driving around on stint number 3. And so Bryce is in P6. Bob is in P7, 28 seconds behind. And it looks like Bob did overtake Ost there. May have missed that one. Looks like Ost just had a penalty as well. It is hard to catch all of the action when you're having to switch between cars and cameras with a controller. So here we go. So this battle is still on, at least for the moment. Good luck, James. Good luck, everyone. And Evo is pitting to switch over to the hard tires. So it will be 1 lap on the hards for Evo, so the gap will not be quite as big as it was previously, but I think his lead is safe. Felt very awful not realize it's today, not tomorrow for Bolex. You know, Blue, at the end of the day, it happens. At least you're okay. That's ultimately what matters, my friends. So Evo putting in virtually no fuel, which is understandable. And so there's Evo. Beautiful camera shot from Gran Turismo. You can see the gap. I'm not even entirely sure that's P2, but the gap does come down to about 24 seconds for Bonneville. So Team ART with a really good stint, a really good run, good strategy. Struke is still hanging on back there, only 2 seconds behind. There was a little bit of lap traffic. So I think for now, we're going to focus on the battle between Dan and Jakey. So this is the last lap for Stint 1. So people should be pitting in this lap to pass the baton to Stint number 2. And so we will see what happens. Dan going a little bit wide, conceding a couple tenths. This is where it's important to hit your marks because this is the last lap. But Dan gets a better run out onto the tri-oval than Jakey does. I think as long as Dan makes it through the bus stop, P4 is safe. And here we go. Stint number 2 getting ready to get underway. We will mark the start of stint number 2 as soon as Evo stops, and off they go. Stint number 2 is underway. Here comes Bonneville. Here comes Struke. Struke managed to hold it to 2.5 seconds despite being on the hards, with Bonneville being on the softs. That's extremely well done by Struke. Here comes Dan into P4. Less than a second behind is Jakey. 4 seconds behind is Rice. Bob will be coming down pit lane in about 15 seconds or so. Here comes Bob. Solid stint for Bob, my teammate, starting back in P13 all the way up into P7. Solid stint. Here comes Bob down. Ost 5 seconds behind. Speedy and Slipstream right next to each other. Look at that. Less than a tenth separates the two as they come in. And Pabst was a second behind them as well. Here comes Spoon. Now, about 30 seconds from now, we'll see Ciro fight, and then about 14 seconds after that, we will see Zamina. Pretty much as soon as Zamina stops, I'll end the stream. And then we will hop over to stint number 2. Jaeger is commentating that one. Fantastic commentator in his own right. Here comes Sirifite. Zamina has a half-second penalty here. Well, Zamina forgot to pit or something. I'm not sure how the last car works with that actually, but in any case, I think Zamina has realized their mistake. Maybe. Not sure exactly what's happening. Now we have chaos going on. Why is Bob and Zamina out? Larry, thanks for the support, my friend. Yes, see you guys in the final stint. Bob, what are you doing? Bob has gone rogue. Now here comes Struke. I guess ultimately it doesn't matter because everybody's done, but... Well, Zamina didn't ever stop, so I don't know exactly what's going on there, but... Hansa, thank you, my friend. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here in just a sec. I have no idea what's going on. See, I told you, this is a DJ Brohawk stream. Something crazy always happens. Like clockwork. Zamina forgot to pit. I have no idea how that's going to be handled, but I'm glad I'm not a steward. Ray is telling them to stop. Anyway, folks, y'all take care. I'm going to drive Stint 3. I need to yell at my teammate to get him to stop driving. So y'all take care. I will see y'all on the track. Head over to Stint 2's commentary with Jaeger. See you guys soon.